right? Oh my gosh! Ah! I'm back. I'm back. I know it's been more than like 10 days at this point since I've last recorded my video. Let's just say a lot has happened. And literally, like, look, I don't just make these readings for the collective and not entirely expect it to not affect me. So it was like, it's not bad. It's not bad. But it was still enlightening that even if my intentions are not to read for myself, things just align and I'm like, okay, all right. Um, that I'm just gonna accept that it is the way it is, and the most important part really is to apply what you learn at the end of the day. So, hello. If you don't know me, my name is Dove Diaz, and this is my channel called Dove's Visions. Welcome. Feel free to, sit, chillax, take whatever you need to take, your, coffee or tea, mushroom coffee, even. It's very appropriate for Virgo season, but like, as you can tell, like, I'm already like way more than halfway done with my mushroom coffee. And long story short, it's perfect. Like, I've been really trying to learn myself, like, how in practical ways, besides ways that are opposite of the practical, in what ways can I live my day-to-day life being excited, but doing my very best to make sure that peace is more amplified through the excitement than anxiety, even if it means the most practical solutions, like changing up what you intake, like in the morning. Like, for example, for me, I remember yesterday I took coffee. It's probably going to be the last time I've ever had it, because I noticed that even without my choice, that thing just somewhat, I mean, for some people, it doesn't give the jitters, and even if they do get the jitters, it's not as effective and to their everyday life. And I totally get it, and that's totally fine. Everybody is on a spectrum here. But for me specifically, it it's hard to let go of the anxiety when I'm taking something that induces anxiety. Like, it's like a Mary Jane. Look, I didn't mean to make this all like, I'm still having the green screen as my background, but I'm wearing green, okay? Like, I didn't mean to make this like the first thing I talk about, but that is the first thing I'm going to talk about. It is crucial, personally, for me. And you know what? If you catch me like kind of like looking off from the camera, I'm just letting you know it's because it's the daytime right now. As you can see, the lighting's on point, but it's hard for me to see like where the peak hole is. And so, like, if I'm like looking in one direction or a different direction most of the time, it's because it's hard for me to kind of find out where to engage with the camera. So if you're wondering, like, what the fuck is this girl acting weird, and why is she acting weird, just not looking straight into my eyes, that's why. Okay? So, but other than that, but getting back to the coffee thing, so I decided to switch it up, and I tried some mushroom coffee, and I'm like, wow, this works for me so well that I don't feel any anxiety. I don't feel anxiety through like my nervous system, when I have to do certain things. If I'm dealing with circumstances, even small ones whatsoever, like, that helps me stay on track with my focus, helps with my immune system. So it's This is beneficial. That's very Virgo coded, you know, like it helps with your immune system, like it helps with your focus. It doesn't make you anxious, like all the things you want in a drink that energizes you, but doesn't, I don't want to say the F word again, but F you over. It's the best way to say it. So I'm gonna drink some water. I suggest you do the same. I know I tell you to grab your tea and coffee whatsoever, but make sure you have water on the side as well. You need a balance. If you want to keep yourself still hydrated, you still want your coffee, you still want to taste it, okay. Just have water on the side. And make sure you drink that water. Balance that shit out. Sorry. I don't want to swear again, but like this is a part of my nature. Okay. I'm going to do something a little bit different here for today. You're just like, get on to the fucking point. Okay, I'm going to get on to the point. Either way, I did see the timer. It says 5:55. So 5:55. And that's actually really interesting because what we are doing today is we're going to be doing a different type of divination technique for the sake of keeping in touch with the energies currently. I'm still going to tie in the astrological aspect. I would say the, other aspects as well that relates to it. And yeah, just really taking this divination technique on a different level. That this is, because usually this type of divination technique is for the individual, but it is like, especially if I have as long as I have a very, very, very specific question in mind, even if I'm reading for the collective, it's still just as encouraged, to be doing a reading like this. And I find that the I Ching is, spoiler alert. So we're going to be using the I Ching as our divination technique for this reading this time. So here's the book, pretty much with the instructions in terms of like how I do the reading, which is what you saw in the beginning. And this is where all the downloads are written. And everything, like, from one source to another source to another source, I'm trying to like connect the dots about the result from the question I asked. So I really made sure I did my best to really get into depth about this response or this answer that I've gotten from the I Ching through the Yarrow stock method. And because I personally think that for really specific answers, it would be better to use the Yarrow stock method. So I stuck with that. And now I think overall, I think the I Ching is a very, very appropriate technique, especially with Virgo season taking place, because I'm going to say this, because there's so much history to it, first off. There's so much history. There's so much deep context when it comes to this book, this divination technique. But I think the best way to describe why, and I know it has no connection, it doesn't seem like there's no connection to the I Ching, but in some sense it does, because this book is meant to create still waters within yourself rather than disruptive waters within yourself. Like, you can still reach to the destination, but if your waters are rocky, you can still reach there, but you are choosing a reality where, especially from within, it doesn't have to apply from outside, but especially from within, when you at least are still, when you reach to the dimension you choose to be, actually no, when you've reached there and you're flowing through the journey, and you're flowing through the journey, like it brings you quicker to more results from the dimension you choose to be in by keeping the water still and calm within your system. And now, why am I bringing this up? Because first off, I'm not sure if any of you watched like Nero, like Nero Knowledge, Nero. He posted a recent video. Shout out to Nero, because that man, you really came and posted that video at the right time. And anybody who knows who he is or doesn't and can resonate, or is, I don't know the name of his new recent video, but from this date his recent video is up since yesterday, and I would suggest people to watch that video, because if anything, I think the qua that I chose, or no, not the quad that I chose, more like the quad that the absolute, the awareness of all awarenesses chose for this reading according to the question I asked. And now I lost track. Here's the thing though, I feel like, and I believe again, that like if you lose track of what you're talking about, it's not meant to be continued to talk about. But however, what I do believe is meant to be continued to talk about is the question that I proposed. So I really, like, since it's encouraged to still ask a specific question, regardless if this reading's for an individual or for the collective, I decided to ask regardless, you know. So after like kind of writing down my question, writing down again, and making sure it's like all clear and on point, making sure that every single detail is included as much as possible, I did ask this specific question here. On behalf of the collective, what would you like us to be aware of throughout this Virgo season, so that we may move through it with clarity, ease? Well, I didn't say, whoa, I was going to say ease. I think if somebody is going through it, maybe that's a confirmation that that question's meant for you, okay? With clarity, alignment, and success. This includes the key transitions and energies of the season, such as the sun entering into Virgo, the Virgo new moon at 0 degrees and 29 degrees, which, by the way, I found out, like, now I understood why the way I read the energy from the last reading was the way I read it, because I didn't even realize that I actually mentioned the second new moon in Virgo. Okay, I did not know that I actually subtly hinted that the new moon is also coming up as well, which is the Virgo new moon at 29 degrees. And still in Virgo season, which is wild, it's bonkers. That's how you know. Now it's starting to make a lot of sense in terms of why this is like what I said before, like why this is different than all the other Virgo seasons before. Okay, so that was a load to take off, but honestly, shout out to Fushi. I think it's Fushi. I think it's I could be wrong. I really could be wrong. Let me make sure that this is pronounced properly, you know? Let me just double check. Let me pause here. I was right. It was Fushi. Shout out to Fushi. I know he's not here to be witnessing this, but shout out to you for creating one of the most pivotal divination techniques of our time. And it's not me just saying this because I'm saying this. It's the depths of the system of the I Ching that made me realize how necessary it is to read with this technique for the collective. because I think a lot of these answers from the I Ching, especially depending on like the energies and whatsoever, you're getting lifetime results or answers in terms of like any specific question you have in mind, right? So I've been using this book as a reference to really make sure I did this all correctly. I even went through a YouTube channel. I forgot the name, but she really also taught through her channel like that divination technique as well. If I find it, I will post her link. But it's so helpful. It makes sense. And I've been like really learning it, and like like reading with the cards, reading with astrology, and even doing other techniques on the side. Like this is one of those techniques that I find the most effective and the most accurate, and one of the most accurate. You are working with the lightness, not just these sticks. You're working through meditation. You're not just doing one, one routine per line. You're doing 3 routines per line. So 3 times when I do the technique and I separate the yarrow stalks, like this is all, each of them had so much intention, asking the same question again and again and again, like maybe 18 times. Okay, so this type of divination technique is also requiring a lot of patience, which is why it took me a little longer, because I got the answer, I got the notes, I'm connecting, and I was like, whoa, like this is such an important message. It's very tied to Virgo season. It's not even just tied to Virgo season by the quad, that's the result or the answer of the reading that I did, but it is so resonant with the quad before and the quad after the selected quad that insanely connects with Virgo season. So, and I do want to share this extra question. Oh, actually, before I continue, I will read the rest of the question. So let me just say it again, and then I will read the rest here without any interruption. Okay? On behalf of the collective, what would you like us to be aware of throughout this Virgo season so that we may move through it with clarity, alignment, and success? This includes the key transitions and energies of the season. So Sun entering into Virgo, Virgo new moon in 0 degrees and 29 degrees, Venus in Leo and then in Virgo, Mars in Scorpio, Saturn's re-entry into Pisces, Mercury in Virgo and then into Libra. And don't get me started with the lunar eclipse in Pisces. So, what message should the collective hold in awareness to navigate these shifts from the beginning of the season to the end of the season? And that's all I asked, and that's what I meditated on. So I did it in order, right? I'll take out these sticky notes because I might as well. But this is a part of like one of the questions here. So I asked, and as you could see in the video, I was like doing I was doing the whole entire technique, and this is what I ended up getting. So the first line is usually the bottom of the bottom lines. And then when you get to the last line, it's the top line result, right? So this is the Kwa. If you look at it from the other side, that's literally the actual hexagram that ended up being the result of this reading after meditating through the question. And also, I do have to mention before we continue, there's a very specific thing that if there is a certain number as the answer of the question, or as a part of the answer of the question, like let's say 9 or 6, they would be counted as the points to regard the most, right? to put into consideration the most. So line number 1 and line number 4 are the ones to be considered the most. And you know what? Since in my case, ooh, I hear some. What? If you hear meows, I'm not. You know what? I'm not gonna spoil it right now. I best not. I'd rather not. But that's a hint. That's a hint of what's going on in my life. Let me just say that. So, what I really want to get into, I was thinking about getting to my notes first, but I want to get into the I Ching book first, because I really made sure I didn't get notes in connection to this book, because I want to get notes in connection to what I read and also the facts, right? Like the facts of like what has been shared from time and all that. So we're going to get into the reading first. So what ended up being the result right here, it ended up, being what I calculated for, the answer, which is the qua itself. And how I did that, there's this key to identifying the qua after you do the reading, right? And so for me, I was like, okay, all right. So evidently the lower part is Li, right? And the upper part is Shen. And so it ended up being Qua 55, which is, oh my God, look at that. I'm telling you, this is what I mean. This is the Qua after that Qua, which is the Wanderer, Hermit, and the Qua before, entrance into or maintaining a relationship. But another term is Young Maiden, the Virgin, which is crazy because that's literally also Virgo coded. And it's not even just entering into the relationship, it's maintaining it. Okay? Even if it's a relationship with yourself. But this right here is the answer that I got. Maximum abundance. Qua 55. So we're going to get into this reading. Let's drink some tea, some whatever you need to take in. So good. I hope everybody had a great start with the season so far. I had a surprising couple of starts, but at the same time, I'm grateful that I have only increased way more of my awareness to the point where even if I have done this question and even if I have that answer and I took all those notes and whatsoever, I'm so grateful that my awareness is at the capacity where I am able to make conscious choices that only brings more peace, that is not just that I need in my heart, that's necessary. I think it's necessary for every heart in this planet to have peace. It's just, of course, it always depends on like the context of what gives you peace. Like if it's something really dark, yeah, you say that it's peaceful, but your actions are not peaceful. The result of your actions, your thoughts, by which actions you choose to take, don't reflect the peace that you say you have within you. You can't just say you feel peace for, no. That's not it. It's the peace that is required for the waters in my energy to be still. That even if I'm navigating this journey, even navigating this journey, sorry, no ifs. No ifs. That's another message. No ifs, no buts. No. Am I gonna get blocked on YouTube for that? Okay, well maybe not, because I the sentence is making sense. Like there's anyways. Let's get into it, shall we? So, let's get to the first paragraph here. You have brought about or will bring about a time of maximum abundance. Okay? When anything reaches its maximum potential, it inevitably turns toward its opposite. Such changes are a product of the time and a function of universal law, and there is no avoiding them. This is not to say that your abundance will not continue, but rather that you cannot increase it without running the risk of turning this time of abundance into a time of decrease. Enjoy this time of success while it lasts. And you know what? It's so interesting because I just got a notification. I'm not sure if any of you watched High Frequency Gurus. Shout out to High Frequency Guru. Hey! She does amazing subliminals, custom-made subliminals. And no, she's not AI. Of course, I mean, she might have used AI like for a couple like thumbnails. Maybe not. I don't know. You gotta ask her. But she does a great job like making all these types of subliminals for any situation. And she's fantastic. But the thing I find so interesting that I found out was that there's a notification that came up, and literally what it's called was listen once and nothing will be the same again. Extreme quantum shift. And that's very appropriate. I must say, it's very, very, very appropriate for this message. So, okay, so let's say this. The best, let's see. This is not to say that your abundance will not continue. Let's get closer. But rather that you cannot increase it without running the risk of turning this time of abundance into a time of decrease. The best you can hope for is to prolong your abundance, to prolong it. Enjoy this time of success while it lasts. Resolve any unsettled disputes and exact any unfulfilled penalties. This squaw cautions you to remain modest and vigilant once you have acquired your treasure, whatever it is. Otherwise, the same universal law that bestowed it upon you will remove it from you or cause it. Well, okay, let's read the shit again because, sorry. You know what? Like, I think there's just gonna be an acceptance about this, like if this is how I express myself, okay? But out of the sake of respect, of course, as always, I will ding out those words, okay? So, but we have to read this again because this is the part. This is the part. Otherwise, the same universal law that bestowed it upon you, bestowed what? The treasure. The treasure. The same universal law that bestowed it upon you, the treasure upon you, will remove it from you or cause it to work to your detriment. Do not delude yourself that your achievements, titles, and possessions are the totality or the be-all and end-all of life. I'm going to say this again for all the people on social media too. Do not delude yourself that you achieve, that you're achieving, oh, that you don't delude yourself that you achieve. Well, you know, that's a message too. That's another message as well, that like, don't be so delusional that what you think is an achievement, such as having achievements, having the titles and possessions, is what entirely encompasses achievements, or that it's the be all and end all of life. That's not the case at all. The true achievement is your consistency. Your true achievement is your persistence. True achievement is choosing perseverance. It's not even just persistence, perseverance. It's choosing that. That's the real success. That's the real success that nobody wants to talk about. Why? Because it's so easy to think that there really is nothing that's powerful, that it's not. We really underestimate the power of those things, like we underestimate the power of the seed. Okay, and I will get to that in a moment. Let's keep going. They are merely the objects you have chosen to lead yourself along the path of life. Just like how you can make the choice to persevere and to persist and to be consistent, all that stuff is pretty much another way to lead yourself along the path of life. And that's the difference between people who go after what they want in their life because they want to achieve things that they believe defines achievement. And that these achievements are the entirety and the encompassing, I don't want to say factor, the encompassing something. I don't know why I'm saying encompassing for. Maybe somebody would understand that. But to believe this version of what achievement is, and to believe that those achievements are the very things that is the end all and be all of life, you're choosing a path like that as well, just as much as a person is this is the thing I think I need to mention. This season is all about how you move subconsciously and consciously. From yesterday to the next 30 days. 30, 29 days, I have no idea. But until Libra season starts. Okay? Oh my God. Like, girl, I'm sorry. I'm so passionate about this because, like, the message is so strong. It's so strong. And so, let's keep going. Rather, they are merely the objects that you have chosen to lead yourself along the path of life. Rather, it is the path itself. It's not the things, it's your consistency that is the path. The path of choosing the opposite of consistency is also the path that you lead yourself to. The point is that whatever path that you choose to lead yourself to has to be aware on both the conscious and the subconscious end. Okay? Rather, it is the path itself that is the be-all and end-all of life, for it is on that path that you will learn the lessons of life and perfect yourself as the divine being in a perfect universe. Wow, we really went on this for like 30 more minutes. But you know what? This is exciting to me because we are at a very like what I said from the previous reading, we are at a very unique time for this season. It's not like any other seasons that has happened before. And of course, because I believe that ever since Pluto entered into Aquarius, like every other season is not like the seasons that were like those seasons, it's not like the seasons that were those seasons when Pluto in Capricorn took place, okay? When Pluto was in Capricorn, whenever like it's Virgo season, there's like a sort of trining that happens most of the time. And I remember those days, the kids are going to school, people are going back to school, the education system is still revolving around our lives and all that shit until time has faded. And then Pluto in Aquarius is like, well, there's your system, but my system is just as valid. I just saw the time, it's 5:11. My system is just as valid. So when that aspect or my perspective is just as valid, or what I learned is just as valid, like time has passed and people are weaning off from this education cycle of like promoting heavily to kids about figuring out what they want to do right away. Oh my God, and I saw my angel number 2341 on the book too, okay? See what I mean? All these downloads are coming through, and I didn't even write this down, but is that a fly? Yo, has anybody remembered like that Miley Cyrus song like on the Disney Channel? It's like fly on the wall. Oh my gosh, I love that song. That song, that took me back. So, what we are going to do at this point is that we're going to start with this point and really make sure we emphasize the fact that this is the biggest one to take consideration when this and this. So line number 4 and the bottom line are exactly what must be focused on. So we're going to start with bottom line, okay? The most pivotal ones, the things to be taken into consideration the most. Two people who both possess inner clarity and are capable of energetic action come together to preserve a time of abundance. They will both benefit if they spend enough time together to make a plan or accomplish a goal. There is no blame in this, and both people will benefit from the union. To move forward at this time will bring you recognition. To move forward at this time will bring you recognition. Two people possess inner clarity and are capable of energetic action come together to preserve a time in abundance. Now that is interesting. Because I mentioned this from the previous reading about like unions, and there's the Lover's card, and there's all these like very specific hints of like how this is more than just you being involved, this is other people being involved. And how I talked about like pretty much like the conscious awareness you must have in terms of revisiting the relationships you have, whether it be with the people, whether they're still in your life or not, for whatever reason, or if it's what you're passionate about, or maybe what you used to be passionate about, maybe, you know what I mean? And now we're coming back into this notion about the two people, or this union, and how there is a benefit for people who are already in this for people that are already on the same page with each other about, and not just on the same page with each other. It's not just you possessing that inner clarity within yourself. It's those people as well that you choose to still be around, which is great. And if that's where you're at, that's wonderful. But be aware that those who don't possess inner clarity and those who are not capable of energetic action, especially in this time and this season like this, it's like when two people, when you or another person or more people with in relation to you or with the work you do, if there's that capability of energetic action and possessing that inner clarity, it's easy to come together to preserve a time of abundance. But one person or the other, if that equation is missing, then it's going to be hard to preserve a time of abundance for whatever reason. It won't benefit you if the person is, even if they're especially capable. It's different if they're not capable, especially for a disability reason or other reasons that goes against, like, unfortunately, how they live their day-to-day lives. But I'm talking about those who are capable, okay? Those who are capable, those who choose, if you choose to be capable of your energy, of the action, energetic action you have, and if you choose to possess that inner clarity, but the person on the other end doesn't. That's what I mean when I said ABC is easy as 1, 2, 3 in the previous reading. Like, it should be very clear at this point. But if you two or more of you and more than one person possesses those things, this is a powerful time to do that, to come together and to preserve that. You know what I mean? And they will both benefit if they spend enough time together to make a plan or accomplish a goal. They will both benefit if they spend enough time together to plan or to accomplish a goal. And it could be anything. It could really be anything. It could even be like as simple as, like, what is your goal for the next 30 days? Like, I'm pretty sure Mike has talked about this as well. If anybody doesn't know, shout out to the Peace Dealer. Shout out to the Peace Dealer! Oh my gosh. But he definitely went into depth about that in his extended moon message. So if anybody has seen this and they're able to catch the replay on time before he puts it up as a membership video, then go right ahead, because that video may be for you, okay? So, now let's get to line number 2. Inferior people are blocking and manipulating the person or group with whom you want to join. Inferior people are what? Blocking and manipulating the person or group with whom you want to join. Look, let me just say this. I don't think, unless you are insecure, I don't know. I don't like to use the words superior or inferior about a person when that person is secure in themselves. But if they are either superior or inferior, they're still insecure. And I would say that a person, at least acknowledges their inferiority and their superiority. There's hope. Okay? There's hope. But I want to assume it's faith. Because I believe in the best of everybody and their abilities. In fact, let me just say this, and I know this is going to be controversial, but I don't care. okay? Because my affirmations are my affirmations. I always keep telling myself, even if it doesn't even feel, look, even if I feel a type of way, I choose to believe that, I'm not saying anybody can do it though. I'm not saying everybody can possess that ability, but I'm saying I'm just saying that and I just caught the word good girl, good fortune will follow. I said good girl. What the hell? What is that download? What? Oh my god. I hope somebody is not treating you like a dog or something, because that's kind of a problem. That's a problem. I don't even want to say it's kind of a problem. It's a problem. Right? But when I say inferior people are blocking and manipulating the person with whom you want to join. So if somebody's reading this, there could be some of you for the season where there's like somebody or more than one person that you're like, I'm still willing to connect with them. Even if you haven't seen them for a long time, whether the falling out was like bad, good, or neutral, doesn't matter. And especially, most especially, if this is aligned. It's not like the bottom line where I'm pointing out that like one is like having that clarity of mind and that capability of energetic action, the other one doesn't. No, this is when two people are harmonizing those qualities, okay? And when you're at that point, some of you, not all, might be experiencing people who are insecure, witnessing you and this person being in union in whatever way, in whatever context, even if it's what you love to do, okay? There's going to be inferior people that are either going to block that union between you and that thing or that person. Why is the volume up a little bit more? Sorry, don't ask. Like, this is music for my chicken, okay? But if it's a little loud, like, you know, there's nothing I can do about that. Maybe like have the music come over it, but I don't know, okay? I could be wrong. But there's going to be inferior people that are going to try to either block you between you and what you desire to join into union, or manipulate, even if they don't know it. Okay? Let's keep going. As a result, it has become almost impossible. Let me just get this closer, okay? As a result, it has become almost impossible for you to form a relationship with that person or group, or that passion, or anything you want to pursue that doesn't hurt you or other people. Like, I really have to be so specific. I'm sorry. I can't just be that girl that's like, you could do anything you want that makes you so happy, because there's some people that are happy about doing things that actually hurt others, and that's not what I'm promoting on my channel. So anyways, as a result, it has almost become impossible. It has become almost, remember that term, almost, depending on your choice about how you deal with these people or even things. But because it says inferior, this is more about people. Because objects can't be, or passions can't be inferior, superior, because they're not even people, right? They're not even living beings. They're tools, they're expressions, but they're not living beings. This is more specifically tied to people, okay? Any attempt, so it has become almost impossible for you to form a relationship with that person or group that you desire or that thing. Any attempt on your part to advance or establish a relationship or thing or passion with those in power will meet with distrust and suspicion. So any attempt on your part to advance or establish a relationship with those in power will meet with distrust and suspicion. I mean, I kind of understand why. Especially with this day and age where, and you know what, I've been taking this in, and it really had me confronting a lot of things about, like, you know, and even unfollowed a lot of people recently. Not a lot of people, let me not exaggerate, but these are people who I was like, wow, I really looked up to you. I really have learned so much from you. I really love your energy. It's as simple as loving your energy. Until you realize, like, have these people advance or establish a relationship with those in power that do meet with distrust and suspicion. Because look, I know there's insecure, superior people out here, insecure, inferior, whatever people that will say what they say because they're butthurt and they're projecting their insecurities, but it's a whole other thing to be met with distrust and suspicion because of the fact that you're choosing to advance and establish a relationship with somebody in power that, one, with the internet nowadays, and this is why my sympathy for celebrities has become much lower lately. One, you don't choose to do your research. And if your team is not going to do your research, you do your research. Okay? And second off, even if if they did do their research, or I don't want to assume it's you, because look, you're here for a reason. I don't want to assume that any of that way about my audience. I always will assume the best, okay? But, however, of course it's going to be met with distrust and suspicion when somebody who you choose not to research about, and that maybe you're already aware that these people in power that you want to establish a relationship with, that you want to advance that relationship with, has done some really shady shit. Like, let me just, you know what? I'm not even going to say names, but if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Like, this is not, like, just about Diddy, okay? This is not just about Diddy. This is about not just celebrities, a lot of people out here. Like, you want to advance a secure relationship, okay. But when a person doesn't have inner clarity, even if they are capable of action, like this person who is in power, okay, they don't have the inner clarity. Like, and it's interesting because if you want to advance that type of relationship with somebody, that means that there's a part of you that doesn't have that inner clarity either. And when you don't have that inner clarity, you're heading into a relationship, a connection, or even a path, like a creative path or a passion, a pursuit. It's if you're choosing to not have that clear inner clarity as well, this relationship will just be based on the capability of energetic action, but barely any inner clarity, which then becomes a whole fog of what we can't really see clearly. And that fog, anything could happen in the fog. You don't even know. You're from the distance. But when you come up close, okay? When you come up close, that's a whole different story. Okay? Now, Let's keep going. And that's why this is a sign for somebody, if you do think that you want to establish something with somebody like that, but you came across this and you haven't done your research, I suggest you do your research before you pursue this. Because if this is not, if you don't have enough inner clarity to even make that decision, don't make that decision. But if you possess that and you can, take your time before you establish it, because whether people like it or not, that's, a part of the deal of all this. Like, if this person in power is actually like very trusting and they're very clear, that's a different story. Okay, that's a different story. But if this person isn't, and you're like, oh, like, I still, because they have this capability that I require in my life, like they're powerful in this way, that way, this way, this will help me with how powerful okay. But what's your intention? Oh, this will help me. Okay. This is, okay, first off, you're projecting that you can't help yourself. If you're really dependent on this person power, oh my God, this fly is trying to get into my face. Jesus. Again, maybe the inferior people kind of, maybe the manipulation is as far as like, oh God. You know what? I'm not going to get into it. But what we are going to get into is the foundation of this message before I get into the downloads that I've written down. Oh my God, it's 56 minutes. Okay. Your best course of action is to persevere. Oh my gosh, I just said that word again. I just said that word before. To persevere in your sincerity. So your best course of action is to persevere in your sincerity, loyalty, good intentions, and to continue your advance. In that way, you will eventually create trust and dispel the clouds that surround the situation. Because at the end of the day, as long as from your perspective that this is nothing shady or weird or anything, let people assume what they want to assume. Because in time, the clouds will dispel it, at the very least from their perspective. Okay? And at this point, it will change the story that they want to choose to assume about you and whoever you want to reconnect with, and which will permit the union that you seek to come about. Good fortune will follow. Line 3. Inferior people have clouded the judgment of the person or group with whom you wish to join. With whom you wish to join. As a result, you are... okay, let me just say this. It's one thing for these people to have clouded, to have to, to cloud the judgment of a person with whom you wish to join, because before you wish to join them, that person, maybe you chose, like, especially if you've known them before, you chose to be judgmental of them. And oh my goodness, this fly. Okay, I don't know if there's somebody that's cross-watching, or if somebody who in some way wants to, like, watch you in whatever way, but like it's weird, or somebody's trying to bug you. That's the download. I don't know. Maybe this bug won't stop flying around, but anyways. So as I'm gonna say here, like, it's a different story if inferior people, they can be inferior, but they're judgment has not been, they're not clouding the judgment of the person with whom which they wish they joined because they're just inferior. Because just like the person that maybe went from inferiority to, I'm confident in myself and I'm not superior or inferior, but you were inferior, and the person with whom you wish to join, especially the person who you were connected with before, that's a different story. When inferior people have clouded the judgment of the person with whom you wish to join, that's a different story on that context, because to be honest, that's on you. Because if they are trying to cloud your judgment after realizing, maybe waking up and revising and revisiting like how deep this went and how this is bigger than this person being this way, and how this is bigger than you being this way, or because this there's so much intersectional, like there's so much context in every person's life that especially when a person's hurt and they're in victim mode and they're surrounded by inferior people who either live in victim mode or superior mode, I don't know, whichever one. It makes sense why they choose to do that, because they assume it's out of protection, with you assuming it's out of protection. And you assuming that it's okay to assume more things about a person that, it's as simple as asking them a question with receipts before jumping to this point. Because I'm not going to lie, some of the people that you want to reconnect with, there has to be a level of accountability on your end. Because if there is no accountability and you want to reconnect, but yet you're, the inferior people in your life were trying to cloud your actual judgment, your true judgment now of the person you want to reconnect with, like, you got to step up. You got to step up, man. Because I'm telling you, like, if you trust your judgment enough and you really believe that the person you want to join with and connect with or reconnect with, or the passion brings inner clarity and the capability of energetic action within it, really, you have that, but you notice the other person or other thing has that, and you work well and harmonize with each other. And you have so much trust in yourself and confidence with yourself, you will know. When you express to people about your path, you will know who exactly is trying to manipulate your mindset and block your mindset. And the potential of the expansion, even the further expansion of your mindset that may actually be activated when you align with the person, and when you reconnect with and come into union with the person or passion. Now let's keep going, okay? As a result, you are unable to make progress at this time. But if you choose to stay confident in your judgment, it's as simple as you are able to make progress in your life, right? Because you're going with the flow. You're not just following your heart here. You're not just expanding your heart. You are expanding your mind, your mind's settings. From the way the world was and how your mindset was to the way the world is now and how your mindset is now renewed. You have suffered or will suffer an unfortunate and harmful turn of events if you take in other people, especially inferior people, not people who know who they are, because maybe, you know what, that's different, because some people don't want to accept the truth, and maybe celebrities as well, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes you're, a person's, sometimes it's not a hater thing. People who are trying to point out what you were doing, and it's not coming from an entitled place either. It's not coming from a place where there's ignorance. It's coming from a place of self-awareness and awareness overall, that when they bring it up to celebrities and they see it as hating, they think this is a hate train or whatever. That's when I'm like, I can't take you seriously. I can't take your judgment of others seriously, because sometimes that type of collective comes in as a sort of like an expression of the awareness of all awarenesses of God. Sometimes God comes through those people that they're trying to make you aware of, that this is fucked up in whatever way, that you're like, that you're taking in the situation. But it's also like, we're not trying to, tear you down. We're trying to make you aware that this shit is like, it can be like that. This shit is like really disrespectful, or this shit is ignorant, or something of that sort. It's as simple as being like, wow, shit, I didn't know. I don't know everything. Okay, it's as simple as saying, I don't know everything, but I didn't know, and because of you guys, and I love you guys so much too, most especially that, because some people, they don't want to take it this far. There's some celebrities that actually absolutely, and even people in real life, that will absolutely go as far as to be accountable by, even using their personal time to really learn. Because the people you're serving at the end of the day are those people that you assume are fucking hating on you. Fuck. Not everybody is out here to get you. Not everybody is out there to tear you down. And you know what? I get it, because that was what I have to learn the hard way as well. But when you realize that, it's easier to see who genuinely appreciates not just their own growth, but their audience, the people they're connected with, that they're in union with, versus those who say they are connected and we're your fans, whatever the hell, but you won't choose to take any opportunity that evidently comes from God to expand your awareness, even in the really dark things. Okay? Holy Mother of God. Okay. Take heart. It will ultimately work to your benefit if you remain sincere and loyal. No blame will attach to you. Avoid any undertakings. I don't know what that means, but if anybody knows, you know. Instead, bide your time for now until the moment comes when you can move forward again. And that's the first 3 lines. And if we take a look at the first 3 lines here, let me just check. Let me just find it. Let me see. Is this? Let me see for a second. So, okay. You know what? I'll get to that part later because that's going to make sense later, but I will keep going with the next line. And by the way, either way, the next line is also the one to be cautious of and to take significant consideration in, okay? Besides number 1, which makes sense now because the consideration is, you know, especially when it comes to like people and the things you love in your life, like this is the foundation. This is the foundation that if, especially when other people involved or your passions are involved, this is the thing to keep in mind, because there are these energies that want to come through, but as long as your foundation is this, then these energies can try but not succeed. Okay? Line 4. The general air of darkness is still present. With everything's going on in the world right now, yeah, kind of. Like, oh, every single time I always like kind of like spoil like the actual entire thing that's taking place, and that's a spoiler alert. But let's get to it. The general air of darkness is still present but has dissipated to some extent. You can now meet with another strong person who shares your viewpoint, because at the end of the day, this life has been really showing us a lot more than we have assumed for all these years. I would say, especially the past 31 years. I would say my entire life, but maybe some of you are absolutely have rotated around the sun way many more times than me. And so this might be longer, but let's be real here. It's not like the other past 30 years of our lives. Okay, I would say at least 30 years. But since it's starting to but it did say it's still present but has dissipated to some extent. It's shifting now. Okay? The energy of that is shifting now. Whatever it is. You can now meet with another strong person who shares your point of view, and this meeting brings good fortune. Now, you can move forward once again, and you should do so. There's something about moving forward that will not only bring you recognition, but moving forward with knowing who you are, knowing your judgment, knowing how much you can trust yourself, no matter what other people say, even especially if that is in the way, okay? It also brings good fortune, being in union with that. Despite these times, okay? Let's keep, so that line and the bottom line, the foundation of it all. And that's so ironic, because those lines could have been not taken into consideration, because the result for number 9 could have been like, you know, number 7, or the result for, you know, number 8 could have been number 6, you know. And if anybody knows the I Ching, you'll understand what I mean by that. But no, that's not the case. Like, you know, the Absolute wants us to be aware of those two things. And that makes sense, because whoever's viewing my video right now, you are at the point where the foundation is so solid. And you know what you want. You know who you want to interact with. And you know, like, and especially if you have taken accountability in whatever way that may have, that either it's your choice or other people that influenced you into that. Like, you can trust yourself enough to know at this point to connect with somebody and that thing and whoever and whatever it is, that's going to bring you good fortune. And this is a kwa that is about abundance. Okay? It's about reaping the rewards, whatever that is. Okay? Now let's keep going here. Line 5. Oh, is that an ant? Oops. Sorry. I'm doing a video. Okay. Ooh. All right. You see the preview though, so I'm gonna accept that, I guess. But line number 5 here. So, in this time of peak abundance. So this time is of peak abundance in Virgo season, okay? Oh my God, I keep going back to this. This is the preview, okay? This background's not going to be that background. But this is it's part of the preview of the entire channel. Just for the nosy ones. So, in this time of peak abundance, because by the way, from my downloads as well, peak has been consistently been a repeat, like in terms of the term, or an illumination as well. So this is a season that is the peak of the peaks. Okay? And it makes sense with the moon cycles and the way it is, which by the way, I will get into it, but this Hua also has not just examples, but has repetitively showed how significant the sun timing, the sun setting and rising, how that is and the moon cycles, how they both align so well with it. To, I would say, like other things as well, but I will get to that, like with the modern examples. So, you are in a position of leadership, but still remain modest and open. These qualities encourage strong, talented people to approach you and to offer their help. This in turn brings blessings, fame, and good fortune to all concerned, and prolongs the time of abundance. So what prolongs the time of abundance? What prolongs it? And what brings all these things over here? What prolongs abundance? Is you being in a position of leading your life? Remaining modest in the deepest depths of that term. I would say check out what modest really means through etymology terms, like through the etymology itself. So then you could really understand how deep this goes. Modest is still remain modest or in piety, okay? And open, not closed. Open. These qualities encourage strong, talented people to approach you. If you remain in that state, positioning yourself in that state of leading your life and not allowing other people, most especially, not allow all people, but most especially not allow people who are insecure in their lives, whether they're inferior or superior, doesn't matter. It's when you are positioning yourself, leading yourself, remaining in piety, a reflection of the absolute through not just your actions, but through how you move, what you wear, everything. Even what you do in your day-to-day life, like taking care of yourself. And open. These qualities encourage strong, talented people, encourages people, even especially the people you want to reconnect with or be in union with or whatever. The things or passions you're passionate about. Again, I always have to mention those three because I don't want this to just be a very like love-driven reading or a people-driven reading, like, because that's not what it is, okay? This in turn brings blessings, fames, and good fortune. I said fames. So this is more than one person. And good fortune to all concerned, and prolongs the time of abundance. Now, it prolongs it as long as you choose to lead your life, trusting yourself, being that expression of the universe, of the absolute, of awareness, and opening that, allowing that portal to be open. Because regardless of whether you experience people who are inferior, superior, or you're experiencing people who actually are not either of those things, the importance of that is trusting yourself to position yourself like this. You have to trust yourself. That trust is what activates the seed, and not just growing the roots. Okay, because we got to remember the seed, what grows first through the seed? Not the sprout, the roots. The roots. But sooner in time it will sprout. The sprout doesn't come first. After you seed, you plant the seed. And so you are strengthening that foundation, not just within yourself, but within what you are manifesting or initiating, I would say. And this apparently not only brings these things, blessings, fame, and good fortune, which is already mentioned, but it prolongs the time of that for whatever reason. Okay? Now, let's get to the last line here, which, by the way, very Hermit Virgo tarot coded. So, oh my gosh. Forgive me. I'm really learning this OBS stuff, okay? Shout out to OBS. Now, here's the top line now. You have achieved great abundance. This is for my audience, okay? But this has caused you, okay, that depends though about where your mindset is at. I don't want to assume it's that way, but I'm going to read it anyways. You have achieved great abundance, but this has caused you to become both arrogant and fearful of losing what you have. It's like having so much. It's like having so much, but still affirming from the state that you're gonna lose it, that you lose it all, that it's all like that the fear is more real than the truth. The fear of losing what you have, even if it has a time limit, kind of like everything really, in terms of when and how soon you use it, or when and how soon you, whatever this abundance is, okay? You need to be master of the household. Why did I say you need to be the master of your household? Maybe, okay, I'm going to also say this. It doesn't have to be what it has typically stated as. I know there's that saying, like, that men should be the master of the household or whatever the fuck. And also, like, oh my gosh, there's so much I want to say about that. But honestly, I think what matters even, like, honestly, I don't know. I find something weird about that statement, because it's like you're saying that the household, there's like a master and everyone is your slaves. Like, because when you're saying master, there is another part of the equation. What is the mastering? Or this could be just a perception. This could be, a master who masters their life. You know what I mean? The master that becomes a master with those intentions, not becoming a master with the intention to overrule people, overrule their kids, overrule their wife. Okay? I don't know why I'm saying that. Oh my gosh. But you need to be the master of your household. You need to be the master of the house that is being held within you, where the seed of the awareness is. And whatever arrogant means also on an etymological term or perspective, I would suggest you research that as well, okay? Your need to be master of the household or establishment has alienated you from your family, and as a result, you find yourself alone. And we're going back to the air of darkness, like it reflected on one of the significant lines besides the bottom line, which is line number 4. An air of darkness prevails, and you have lost sight of what is right and good in life. This is an unfortunate event that will continue for an extended period. Well, that's if you choose to not trust yourself, your path, and even trust yourself in terms of how you hold that abundance that you achieve. Because like for example, for me, like, you know, I'm just gonna say like myself as an example, okay? Like, you know, there's waxing and wanings of like when I post on my channel and everything, but I have achieved this great abundance, especially now that I'm keeping up with it. Now that I'm keeping up with it, it's easier to not lose sight of that and to trust myself no matter what, even with my timing. Like, for example, like I could have posted this a couple days ago. Like I could have posted this on time. But, you know, I'm not your reader that posts readings like this on the very day of that energy that's taken place. I'm reading for the energies that we're shifting with. Okay? That's my intention. But I trust that even if I don't always post at the times I want to post it, I'm like, you know what? As long as I do it, and as long as I'm in the position with that inner clarity, with that confidence, with that, you know, with that stillness, especially now that I have my mushroom coffee, okay? Now that I have my mushroom coffee, okay? It just, all of that is what keeps it all going no matter what. Even if I got a whole green screen behind me and I'm still getting onto like the solving the problem with that and all this other stuff, you can choose to assume that, oh my God, like my, you know, I'm going to put my channel behind if I don't post it, not just of the day of this cycle, but if I don't post it on a daily basis. You know, this is screaming somebody who is speaking from a state of always failing, of always missing the opportunity. What if you can affirm it not just differently? What if you just do it differently anyways? What if you just, maybe you are not that girl that can post on the day of the new moon, on the day of a certain transit, do all the rising, you know, the all signs readings. You're not that person. That's okay. You can't do everything. You know, you're not the awareness of all awarenesses. You're not God, like the God of all, like of all creations. You're not that. That's okay. But it's the acceptance that you have to stick with, that you are not that person, but that you are who you are. And how you make that choice from there on forward depends on what you choose to believe at the end of the day. I choose to believe at the end of the day that as long as I'm coming from a state where no matter what happens, it's all going to work out. It all works out. Like, yeah, I could have posted this a couple of days ago But that would have been when I was at the state of drinking coffee, right? Drinking coffee, not mushroom coffee. And that could have made me so anxious and jittery that I would still have to put in another day off from doing a reading or from actually like getting into downloads. I may have to make myself still or meditate. But this changed the whole entire story for me and my day, honestly, for me. Because I knew I was going to do a reading today, but I didn't want to choose to be in the state of being concerned about what would happen if, like, if, you know, or that, like, what if this is this and that, like, what if the feeling goes away whatsoever? Okay, if it goes away, it goes away. Like the other times, like, of course, let it go away, especially when you're not in the state. Be with yourself, be still with yourself before you make that choice. I think some of you need to hear this, even those who are actually like, who are, you know, who do have that inner clarity, who are capable of that energetic action within yourself. Like, it's so easy to fall for those false beliefs, for those types of false beliefs. But as long as you stick to the state that, yeah, I can trust myself. And if I can't, absolute awareness, God, Allah, Chi, show me, guide me. And just like the world around you, like the screen, with your RGB cones in your eyes like this, you know, witnessing, going on with your day-to-day life, the absolute will reach out in whatever way to make sure that they guide you in the correct path. And I affirm that for yourself, because this season requires you on a daily basis to stick with one thing that you apply into your life daily. Even if it's the mindset and reminding yourself, even if it's like simple things like, you know, making or eating homemade food every day, or like, even if it's like having, you know, a better sleep schedule, maybe more consistency with the showering, maybe all of that, whatever it is, it's necessary. You know it, I know it. Now, this is an unfortunate period. Yeah, so especially if you're having that inner clarity and that action that you take is aligned, you already have the sight of what is right and good in life, okay? So let's keep going. This is an unfortunate situation that will come, that will come for an extended period. Whoa. That could, I mean, that will continue for an extended period, or it will be new and that will come, but that depends on like your state and what you choose, right? You can counteract the darkness of this time by being modest, with piety, even humble, and by inviting your friends, family, and associates to share in your abundance. Do not be so intent on being in control, but gently release your grip to allow others to have a say in making decisions. The pronouncement of this line is misfortune for the actions you have already taken. If you are so intent on being in control, if you are so wanting to be in control so bad that like you want to keep these people in your life, let's say for example, that are trying to, you know, manipulate the energy that's really going on, taking place in your life, and and all of that. Like, if you choose to listen to those people and not choose to trust yourself in your judgment, or even the judgment of the awareness of all awarenesses in whatever way that could come through, it's not just through social media posts. It could be anything around you in your 3D reality. Now, wow, that was that was a hefty message. And oh my gosh, I see my angel number again. 1 hour and 34 minutes. Now, I'm going to show 2 more things here. So I have downloads that are written already in this journal. So let's take a look here. So, okay, wow, that was... I'm sorry, you just like see my face like... I'm sorry, that was... I laugh at myself sometimes. Okay, all right. So, Qua 55, maximum abundance, expansion of awareness. There's a bunch of notes I've taken down. And this is what I want to mention first, because I noticed that, like, the bottom versus the top are, they mean very specific things other than what it means together, right? So the I'm not sure which was the bottom, which one's the top. Oh wait, no, I know which one. So Li is the bottom. So it's fire, clarity, and illumination. Okay. Zen, or Zhen, I don't know, represents thunder, arousal, which kind of matches the whole peak energy, because it's not like sex related or anything of that. Of course, this is the peak connection. It's a peak related energy, okay? Movement as well. Fire star, wood star. What happens when you put fire and word together? I was gonna say fire and word. Maybe that means that could resonate with somebody. But when you put fire and wood together, what do you make? A bonfire. It could be a bonfire. It could be a beautiful thing. May it not be the house burn. Look, I'm going to assume the best and say that it makes a bonfire in your life. Because this, I want to say, like, it could burn the house down or something like that. But the message really is that this is maximum abundance. And this is on a whole different context here. But there's something about this perspective that made me think to myself, fire star, wood star, thunder, fire, Li, Zen, like, it made me realize, like, you know what, there has to be, like, some significant planets that connect to this. And so what I wrote down is Mars, since it's connected to Li, and Jupiter, since it's connected to Zen. And bonus Uranus, because Uranus is in Gemini. Mars in Libra to Scorpio, hours before the sun moves into Libra. So this is till the end. So the bottom represents a planet that, obviously, with the signs that are going to be taking place from the question that I asked, specifically, this is not just a message that completely relates till hours before the sun moves into Libra. But Jupiter in Cancer, when it trines the true node or the north node, right? And just when I wrote that, I saw the number 4:44 p.m. So this is a very huge highlight as well about changes that are taking place that has to do with Jupiter in Cancer. Trining the north node. Let me just get some water. So, and of course, like, the entirety of this has a lot to do also with the Sun in Virgo and Venus in from Leo into Virgo, right? Now, this is what I call the core of this entire energy that both represent all together. So, great energy, intensity, and illumination. Again, dynamic energy rising, illuminated by radiance and awareness. Dynamic energy rising. And the dynamic energy that's rising is illuminated by radiance and awareness. And then here is the, the theme, the real theme here. The real, core of what this qua means, or what this qua, how deep this qua goes, right? Fullness. A harvest season when everything is ripe but soon will rot. A sun at noon that is so bright but will gradually get darker as the sun sets. Impermanence. Abundance doesn't guarantee eternity. It is a climate. It is a climate. Abundance is a climate. That's interesting. Anyways, abundance, it doesn't guarantee eternity. It is a climatic moment. And it could be a climatic moment that it affects the climate of your life. Let me just be for real. Before decline, of course. But that depends on how you utilize it. Let me just say this. Just because those type of abundances decline doesn't mean that they, again, don't come back around. That's a guarantee that I will, especially as long as you keep on participating in that energy that brings abundance to come back, Now, use your abundance well. I just said that. Okay, I kind of want to also read these key terms as well as this right here. So, image. In times of great visibility and abundance, order must be maintained. Order must be maintained, not by others that say they have order in your life, but they don't, and they have no clarity, and even if they have the energy, it doesn't get them that far. Even if they have so much money, it doesn't get them far to be entirely fulfilled and enriched in their lives. Excess energy and light need discipline. Otherwise, chaos follows. And you see that, right? As long as there is whatever the discipline that is needed in order to manage that excess light, excess energy, excess abundance, honestly, chaos will not follow. It's like, I'm going to say this example because I think this is a great example. Excess food. If you have let's say this is a very specific example. And obviously those who especially live in whatever part of the world where, you still are able to have food in your stomach every day and all that stuff. This is for those people. I'm not speaking for everybody. And I just want to make sure that part is clear, because what I'm not going to do is say an example and speak out of the assumption that everybody relates to it. Not everybody relates to it, okay? Maybe these same people relate to other things, but not all people resonate with that. And that I acknowledge that I just want to be sure that I communicate about that, okay? Because there's some, and I totally get it. There are times where people do bring that up because they just really want to find a reason to tear you down. But there are times where people bring it up, but with the intention to really bring up why, and that this is not just an emotional thing. And that's okay. Right? But when you have so much abundance, let's say, you need discipline. You need the discipline to manage it. You need the discipline to deal with it in that moment. So, maximum abundance, another term for that is expansion of awareness, which is crazy because I just talked about that. So, keywords: abundance, fullness, clarity combined with power, the symbol of prosperity, great illumination like the midday sun, greatness, abounding, flourishing, cycles of waxing and waning like the moon cycles, splendor, peak condition that doesn't go on forever, like the sun setting and all whatsoever, or like the midday sun, or other things, wisely managed height of visibility, fame, recognition, scrutiny, unless not assumed. That's the most important part, because you are the operant power of your reality. You can control your life the way you choose to. Okay? I'm not saying that you are awareness to the point where you can control every single thing in your reality. I'm not saying that. Okay? I'm not saying that. But I'm not saying that you can affirm in real time holding a leaf that it's going to change its pattern or the way it looks and whatsoever. That, for the love of God, I think you need to get yourself checked genuinely, because that's not the type of thing I'm talking about here. Because I know the people in law of assumption community are very sensitive about that at times, because they're just no, you can manifest anything you want. Who are you to tell me that I'm not the operant power of my reality to a point where I get it. But some things still remain the same in our knowledge, right? And it's not just having the integrity, okay, about what you choose to affirm in your life and to assume of your life, because, no offense, more than half of you, not all of you, okay, I know there's a lot of you out there that have really good intentions about what you affirm about and manifest and everything, assume, and I respect that so much. I'm talking about the people who choose to assume and use that knowledge to their advantage by assuming the worst of people. But and I'm not talking about look, there's always I'm not a big fan of assuming the worst about people, because in general I just rather not leave that type of imprint onto the world like that. I rather use that to my advantage to change and shift this reality differently than choosing to assume oh yeah, this person's gonna go down, that person's gonna go down, they're gonna have their downfall whatsoever. That's not the goal of my life. Okay, maybe, look, I'm not gonna go against and criticize the people in that community that affirm for people who've done horrible things to children, who's been, look, affirm, especially at the end of the day, as long as it aligns with your integrity. At the end of the day, then what you affirm for is not something to be concerned of, that is going to mislead you when you already assume in that state that you are not misled, or that you are on the path, right? But not all people in the law of assumption community, but some need to be very careful with what you choose to assume, because there's some things that you choose to assume that honestly, more than anything, whether you know it or not, but especially for those who know it, I'm looking at you. This season's going to be very, even if you get what you want, then the lack of integrity through that manifestation, in whatever way, is people will always experience the waning and waxing of the abundance and of what you manifest and everything. But when it wanes back into darkness, when it goes down, okay, when it all goes down after its peak, like any relationship, any connection, any, thing whatsoever that you wanted, but evidently it's against your integrity. Don't be surprised that when the sun sets, when the moon becomes darker than it is brighter, don't be surprised that when it goes down, that it's not like the experience of being on the beach, seeing the twilight, experiencing the night through the beach, and going to, it's not like that state where you're in an environment where you're connected to awareness, you're connected to nature, you're connected to people you love and what's what. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about the people who are not in that state. Like you want a person in your life to be in your life, even though it goes against your integrity, by manipulating that person to come here and to be in connection with you again. And you know that this person's in complete peace, but it's different also, most especially when these people are people that people want to manifest to have a relationship with them, but they know at the same time they're with somebody else. I mean, I don't have the entire context of whatever type of relation, like what type of situation this type of situation is in, because there's many different contexts to that as well, but I'm talking about the specific context where you know that these people are happy, you know that let's say this path is not for you, or this what you want to affirm in your life is not for you, and it's not because, oh, you're not the operative power of your reality. No, it's because acknowledging the fact that you are not the only character in this entire world, okay? Even though, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with choosing to see yourself as the main character of your life, okay? When you want to affirm that you are the main character of other people's lives, especially people's lives who, let's say, who has moved on from you after whatever's happened, and they're with somebody or they're doing things in their life that makes them so happy, and you're witnessing that, but you choose to affirm that is stripped away from him because you're, oh, that fly, see that fly again? You choose to strip that away from him or her, or stripping yourself away from pursuing what you shouldn't pursue, but out of the sake of integrity, not out of the sake of because, oh yeah, that's, you can't do that. It's not about not being able to do that. It's about how much it's required to not do that. Because if you want to be in the best dimension of all dimensions, integrity has to be involved. I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what your excuse is. Even if they're good excuses. As long as you're affirming from a place where it is full of integrity, you will be able to maximize that abundance, especially with somebody that you really care about, or with the path that you choose that you really, really want to do in your life, or even if it's having pets, even if it's, having a cat, having, okay, I'm just gonna say it. My partner and I have adopted 3 cats. Yes, and that was actually what was it? The full moon in Aquarius, the Virgo new moon video. That video, when I recorded it the day of, the next day was when we picked them up. And that was wild because, of course, like there was still some things that was taking place that the adoption center was very nice and kind enough to, pay their dues for, like, just because we had to make sure that the cats are okay. Like, I think it's just because they were moving a lot and they came from a hoarding situation that there's a lot of like anxiousness, of course, that comes through when you're in a new place and you're with people you just got to know, and this happened to you again, the second time. And they're all siblings, and they're so blessed. Honestly, they're meant to be in my life and our lives, honestly. And I even foretold their signs in that previous reading with the Scorpio and the Sagittarius energy. That's their placements. Literally, a lot of them are Scorpio and Sagittarius. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But yeah, even if it's a path like that, as long as there's integrity, even to yourself and how you live your day-to-day life. Let's say for the situation, you want to get cats, but you work all the time. Where, like, and not even just work all the time. You work long distances, and not just that, you don't have anybody else living with you that can keep up and take care of your cats. So, like, is it really in your integrity still to adopt cats if you cannot have any way to make room for them to thrive? But not just with you not being in their lives, but with you being in their lives. Okay? Because cats can keep each other company and all that stuff, and we have 3 siblings. That's a different story, Of course that's a different story, but it's even more important that you're involved because you're raising them, you're feeding them. They see you every day just as much as they see their siblings every day, or just as much as your cat sees your other cat every day, whatever. If it's not fully in your integrity, that you can't fully take care of them to the best of their abilities, if your work is in the way, then don't adopt them. Because then, without their doing, but you're doing, because you want them, but you don't want to acknowledge how that's not possible right now. Okay? You can't choose. It's not even that you don't have to choose. You can't choose that. If you're gonna risk that cat's mental health. Yes, I said that. A cat's mental health and psychological health. If you choose to adopt a cat without knowing fully the consequences. It's like what I also tied to with the example of what I was going to bring up, but I kind of flowed to a different state, but now we're back in the same state. But I'm talking about a full fridge. Like, let's say you got so much food. This is what I'm going to continue with right now. Let's say you got so much food, just stock, like you got food not just from the food bank, you got food for your dinner recipes, you got food from this supermarket, whatever. Like, people, especially when you're living with other people, like people bring a lot of food. Let's say that. There's so much food. You're grateful, but you're like already in the state of like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna organize all this? And see, this is the part right there. What the fuck am I gonna do? Is like when this could go left or right. I actually have to make sure but in the screen, it's more like left to right. Okay, yeah. It'll go from left to right. If you choose to give in to that state of not knowing what to do. Like, well, this is the other thing I have to ask, I have to mention as well. If there's something you really like, especially people in the law of assumption community, right? Or in the astrology community, spiritual community, wherever part of the spectrum you're on, okay? The question is, how will you deal with it? Again, it goes back to the dealing with your shit aspect that I brought up about as well. Dealing with your emotions just as much as identifying it. Identify the problem, okay? Because this is the thing about Virgos, that especially the energy of Virgo season, that I love so much, and that is the fact that there's always solutions as long as you can breathe. Gemini, Mercury, you have solutions. Air, solutions, thoughts put into action to materialization. Virgo, okay? Now, let's keep going here. Act with clarity and magnanimity. Magnanimity. Okay? Act with clarity and magnanimity. Like, don't just act with the clarity in your mind, but act through that to the best of your abilities. Even if it's something so simple, you could choose, like, and like what Mike said, it made me way less stressful, because you know what? It is a good point where it's just like, you know, the experience should be meant to be flowed, not forced. And if that, like, if somebody needed to hear that message, that's the message. And I just saw a black helicopter right now. So if there's somebody that needed that confirmation, there you go. But yeah, let's go back here. If you are a ruler or a leader, illuminate others like the sun shining on all things. How you are responsible with great abundance is going to determine whether it leads to a flourishing or a decaying state. Again, it goes back to the fridge example. You have so much food, you don't know what to do. Well, if you choose to not be responsible, to be in the state of believing that you can be responsible with handling that much abundance like food, if you choose to believe that, it will lead you to a flourishing state. Yeah, the fridge will be empty after, but all the food will not just be in your stomach, it will nourish you. It will grow you like a plant is being grown, with all the nutrients being put in the water. Like, it's the same concept that grounds the roots, that is the entirety of our being, that connects our soul with our body. Soul, Pisces, body. I'm not saying, okay, well, the body technically represents the first house, but the opposite of that, I mean, of course, there's the second house, the seventh house. Why did I say the second house? Again, it goes back to the abundance thing again. There's like another confirmation that has to do with what you end up having, what you end up having in abundance, okay? Can you tell I needed water? Can you tell that's been over 2 hours and 3 minutes? This reading is not for the weak. This reading is not for the impatient. Okay? This is a very deep reading. And I really love doing this divination technique, because it's a challenge really for me to really take this in deeply, connect the dots, and really share what needs to be shared. And so let's keep going here. So I have a couple of other things I've written down that really connect with the message. For example, seasonal association with these two together is the summer solstice. Now, the summer solstice happened like maybe a couple of months ago. So whatever has happened at that time, at the summer solstice, is energetically affecting this energy of the entirety of Virgo season, starting from now. Something about the summer solstice that activates for the next couple of months, and then until this season arrives, boom, the highest peak. The highest peak. And I would say the sunset represents energetically like Libra, but when the sun starts to set, when the sun starts to go down, it's not hot like burning on your skin. It's feeling a little cooler. Yeah, there's still sunlight and there's shade, but it's easy to feel the flow of it. Like this is leading to a time of ease, especially when you choose not just to be responsible, but choose to be aware of how you can be responsible in whatever way that you feel called to know, or you felt called to know. Now, elemental association. Fire combined with thunder. Okay, that's Uranus, that's Jupiter, especially, and fire, Mars. If we think of thunder and fire, we're thinking of the Tower card as well. If you're thinking of thunder and fire, you're thinking of like the Tower card and the Wheel of Fortune, I would say. It's both. Like, this is energetically the feeling I'm getting. Like, I didn't write this down, but it's like these images are coming up in my mind. Cosmic image, midday sun, fullness of life, human application, leadership, rulership, somebody who leads their life, somebody who rules their life, somebody who there's prosperity, wealth, and visibility as well. And then psychological aspect of this is that awareness is at its peak. Awareness is at its peak. Maybe the abundance that's coming through is the level of awareness that's going to come through to increase your life and not decrease. Even if the connection with awareness, like the connection with God or the connection with source, wanes and waxes, at the end of the day, its presence still there. Just like certain opportunities, certain things, that it's easy for you to fall into believing that, oh, there's no other opportunity like that's gonna come back. That's not true. That's not true. Stop affirming that, please, because your words are honestly the primary, like your words, your thoughts are the primary seed, which is why they're the seed, not the seed, sorry, they're the seed, actually, never mind, of what this maximum abundance is, or this expansion of awareness is, okay? And whatever this expansion of awareness is, it's not going to be from a state that you end up being where shit goes completely left. Okay? So, inspired action, right? Inspired action. Risk of burnout or decline. Just because you burn out doesn't mean it's gone. Just because you burn out doesn't mean the moment is gone. Please, okay? You don't even realize that you don't have to do much except whatever that thing is, or that, that person is, that, or even yourself, that you want to expand in your life, be consistent with. Like, it's necessary to make sure that whatever you expand, it's coming from in a place, an environment, or whatsoever, whether in your mind, in the home, in your heart, or in your own home, etc. You have to be sure that, because there's the Tower card and there's the Wheel of Fortune, okay? you could choose. It's like, as long as you're in the state of the wheel still being turned and it's still turning, and the tower moment being a type of tower moment where it's a shift, but it's an amazing shift, and you keep being in that state, then that's what it's going to be. But if you choose to think in a different state, that it's just chaos, or it's just this, or that, you know, you're succumb to that, like, you know, then that's what and that you know, it's not gonna, like, you know, then it's not only, you're not only gonna be experiencing a tower moment that is just chaotic, okay, you're gonna experience it with the wheel of fortune not spinning in your life, because you chose to assume that this is not, that this is only going to go left. Know what I mean? Now, what to be aware of. Use abundance wisely. It's not permanent. Okay? Back to the fridge thing. Instead of being in that state of like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. I'm stressed, which I get it because I'm like that too. Just first off, this is the opportunity to still your waters. Like, why do you think the I Ching, when you do those readings, you have like these lines? They're not squiggles, okay? They're straight. Well, I'm not entirely straight, but I'm sorry. That's how you know, okay? But when you're in stillness, the waters are calm, okay? When you're not still, like, it's like a bumpy road on the highway. You're just like, so just like the fridge, when you're so overwhelmed, you know, you're either going to choose to find a way to organize it, to chop up some vegetables, to put in like a container or something like that, so you can use that to make it later, or to make certain things, or make sure you make use of the produce in your fridge, or to make use of certain things that could go expired in your fridge, because food expires. Doesn't mean food is gone forever, but food can expire, okay? Just as much, obviously. And it depends on how you make use of it. And like what I said, you can make use for it by giving yourself all the vitamins and all that stuff. And, you know, it's gone, but it's with you, through you, and through how you continue to live your day-to-day life. Or you could just be so overwhelmed by it and succumbed by it that you don't touch it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of guilty of this. I'm learning, thank God. I've been learning how to to stop with this fuck shit, okay? But let's be real here, though. If you choose to not touch it, it's just, you're just gonna have moldy food in the fridge, and until you have to clear the energy of the fridge, you're just gonna be faced with a consistent, like, oh, there's nothing. Like, which is diabolical to say, especially nowadays, but that's the thing. Like, are you gonna let your food rot, which goes left, or are you gonna not let it rot and let it sustain you, which goes right? Left or right? Okay? Accept and allow yourself to effectively and prepare for a metaphorical, to effectively utilize your abundance. I was going to say your wealth. And to utilize it and prepare for a metaphorical decline of that energy. Generosity and fairness. Abundance is meant to be shared, not hoarded. Okay? It goes even deeper with the fridge analogy. It's not just you, it's other people who are living with you too, right? Fullness is temporary. The true wisdom is in one handles it. That's the point. Fullness is temporary. The true wisdom is how one fully handles it. That's where the true richness comes through. It's not about what you have. It's about how you handle what you have. It's about how you handle it. That's the true wealth. It's not just the true wisdom. It's the true wealth. Okay? With clarity, like the midday sun, again, comes with intense exposure. Those who teach and lead must be just and responsible. Cycles of fullness and emptiness, the moon cycles, full moon and new moon, or new moons, I would say. What is full must wane. Embrace every cycle, but most especially this one, especially, like I pointed it out here, Virgo, new moon Virgo 2 times, like especially this one. You must embrace the moon's waning just as much as you must embrace it being full and bright. Not just the peaks like the midday sun. It's also Virgo season. It's also Virgo season that you have to embrace every cycle, and most especially and or important aspects and planetary shifts like the ones that I mentioned here, that if you want to take a photo about what these are, go for it. Let me just make this easier. There you go. As you could tell, I was like really refining at least a part or some part of the script, and I just made a little bit of errors and scratches, so don't mind me. But this is a reference of like all these really important aspects taking place, and planetary shifts that are taking place right now. So yes. Let me just go through this. So this is interesting because I went from like writing down like pretty much the facts that I've seen in like a lot of sources online, and I'm gonna get to this part before I continue with this other part, which is all these downloads that I've written down here. So remember I talked about the hexagrams and how they all literally represent, like have signifies still the Virgo energy, like the female virgin, marrying maiden. But another name for that is what I've mentioned in the book that I would say it again, but I don't remember. There's abundance, and awareness expands and maximizes. To wonder, the hermit, fullness passes on, moves on, the traveling wanderer. The virgin, self-concept and service. Self-concept and service. When you have the idea of who you are, and you are able to serve your life through the awareness of what keeps your self-concept going, okay? You expand and maximize, whether it be what you have or what you don't even have. Even if it's awareness, it just expands even further. Even if you have awareness, it expands even more. But a lot of talks are about abundance is there, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm just gonna say it, okay? I heard a lot about what's going on with the crypto space right now. And if anybody is really connected and really curious about the crypto space, I want you to research, and I'm going to call this right now. And I swear, if I look back on this and I'm right, actually, no. I kind of know that I know that I am, but I'm just going to bring it up. If anybody really feels called to research it, I would suggest you research XRP and Cardano. Okay? XRP and Cardano. I know people are hyping about like Bitcoin. I know people are hyping up about Ethereum. And honestly, I would say, with the exception of Solana, though. With the exception of Solana. Okay? But I really want you, if you're really interested and you're yearning about like, what do I invest in first? I would say look into and research Cardano and most especially XRP. Because I'm telling you right now, this is an opportunity to invest, especially with if there's an abundance. You like, I'm not saying you should put all your eggs in one basket, but I'm saying there's a basket that is required of you to put your eggs in, some of your eggs in. And honestly, like, I would say go for it. I would say go for it, because this energy that's from going full to emptiness, going from being full to empty, it's like every time, like, the prices of like these cryptos go up, right? Oh my god, I'm sorry. Every time they go up, they have this moment, and then there's this moment of decrease where it goes down, and then it stays there for a while. And then after some time, especially depending on the decisions being made, it goes even more up. And then it goes down, and then it stays, and it's still up than the previous time, but this time it's at its current lowest after the peak. But it's still high. That's the thing to keep in mind. Okay? This run, whatever this is, what is going to wane and what is going to go down, I would say, what's going to decrease is not the price entirely. Okay? Because obviously crypto has been becoming more accepted into the financial market, into the financial sphere. Okay? However, it's not just that. It's not that I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when the opportunity decreases in terms of buying it at the price that it was at, but that you can't buy anymore, if that makes sense. And if you're going to do that again, it's not going to happen the same way it was again. Like how when it was at like 70 or 80 cents for like XRP, for example, like I actually remember that was the time when I found out, and I invested and everything. And, because you know what, here's the thing, and that's a part of my integral agenda. Genuinely, I would say I'm going to, if anything, the only cryptos I will honestly invest in are ones that I know I'm going to hold long term, and that this is not something I'm going to trade off all the spot. That's just my opinion. But second off, I'm going to really support, and it's funny because there's number two, and I chose two of them. Like, it's integral. Okay? The way it functions is integral. And that's what matters to me. Investing in things that are integral. And whatever you invest in that is integral, just like the crypto space, like especially select cryptos, which personally I have to say, and I'm going to bet, and I will honestly record this part of the reading if I ever make this a short one day, about telling people like I have mentioned this. But if it stays, if it's not just functional but integral, and if it's not just functional and integral, but it lasts even if it wanes or waxes. Again, it goes back to the part of my reading when I said, why not? Like, why not? Okay? I don't know why I felt called to say that, but that's what it is. And that's personally my take on it. So let's see, download. So even if the answer to my question is 55, the hexagrams in between the answers are hexagrams that eerily connect with the essence of Virgo. It's just like multiple confirmations that like this is a reading for this entire season and for all these shifts that are taking place. Downloads. Quad 55, examples in real life, especially the 6th house area, daily living, as well as the 3rd house area, expression of thoughts. A full fridge being full until it's ready to energetically and literally clear it. A lot is thrown out when you're already overwhelmed with how much you have received. However, if you allow overwhelm, not helplessness, overwhelm and overstimulation to take over your state rather than temperance, your state will always be wasting time, experience, and important shifts even in your own personal experiences by choosing consciously or not out of free will to let the experience of fullness be missed out on, to pass away like the sun again, or like the fridge. Even if you're timely on when you go through the fridge and energetically clearing it, the guilt can come through, especially with little compassion for yourself, which this is a season of like giving yourself compassion, not to tear yourself down. As long as you know, as long as you are aware, that's so important. That's important. Okay? As long as you keep applying that too. Okay? Not just applying you being aware. As long as you are aware to the degree where you practice through awareness to start uplifting yourself and not tearing yourself down because of, just making mistakes that affect, even if you don't know it, that affect your abundance. And that's okay. But as long as you don't block your flow, as long as you trust yourself and trust in the absolute, then, there's no reason for you to feel guilty or anything, really. I feel like the ones that should feel guilty are the ones that are trying to manipulate people or tear people down, or like what I said, there's like manipulation and there's like another term. Blocking. As long as it's like people are trying to block other people whatsoever, that's like, and I'm not talking about like online, like blocking someone. I'm talking about like literally blocking someone from their path. That's a different story. But those who are not that way, have compassion for yourself, okay? You can still maximize this month, no matter what. And it's going to be freaking great. And I affirm for you of that, okay? I affirm that for you. Now, be compassionate with yourself when you feel so much overwhelmed for having so much good or not so good, depending on any of you or you overall, to the point where the full experience of eating becomes it becomes healthy. It can become healthy if you choose to be compassionate with yourself, but be compassionate by applying how you choose to continue your day-to-day life with conscious awareness. You will then experience a full experience of eating instead of it being an empty experience. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And look what it says. Forward. Mercury has reflected and assimilated all something. Okay, that's interesting. Forward. I was just talking, this is literally the entire reading, okay? You are the operant power of your life. Thankfully, with AI, it's a powerful tool that can help if you are needing help with a perspective, even if it's not a human. If you need a perspective from a technology that can really see the patterns of who you are, like on a very detailed level. Okay, and I'm not saying you have to give all your information away or anything. That's not what I meant. I meant if you're sharing your experience without having to name important details or significant details that you want to keep private, believe me, and I did this, I tried this, and it actually works. Some people want to assume that AI is not a good tool that for our society or whatsoever. But let me be 100% real. You guys are literally these very same people that hyped over smartphones, and some of you guys are the very same people who are talking about how, oh, smartphones are the demise of our society. Honestly, let's be real. Smartphones are the reason why we could see kids from Gaza and the families from Gaza and what they're really going through. You think this is just a phone that you can, that's stupid because there's apps and stuff that makes you edit photos. That's not like you editing on Photoshop anymore and whatever the hell. You think that is stupid? And the people who see it as an amazing technological advancement, especially when you were a kid, what happened to that energy? Because now all of a sudden you're assuming things about AI that honestly I think we need to really have a reassessment, okay? Because it is just like how it could go from left to right or right to left. It's about your intentions being put into it, you know? And it's not AI that's the problem. It's the intentions people input into AI. Some people use AI as new references. Let's say if you're a graphic designer, like if you want to get sand textures, nature textures or whatever, it's a simple example, okay? But you don't want to take it from somebody, or even if you want to use it as a reference, like it's not what you are ideally looking for. You maybe have a specific image in mind that maybe has more shadows and more detail, simple detail. Maybe it's like textured, maybe it's completely flat. Doesn't matter. Like AI can actually really up level the graphic designer's work by just using it with that intention. Like I'm just using it to make textures and stuff, but the rest I'm creating with my mind and with my spirit and how I use these things to communicate whatever message I want to communicate through type and through imagery, through all that stuff. Somebody could have like symptoms going on, with their health, and they realize like, oh my gosh, it's like a thing that they have that it's not so bad now, but oh my gosh, like this could have been, this really, I don't want to say this could have been like bad, but it's actually an amazing thing to be aware of. Like you're so grateful for that, because it's like even if it doesn't largely affect you at the end of all of this, you realize like, damn, if it weren't for me typing this down, I wouldn't have gotten to the conclusion that I needed to come into the conclusion of. You know what I mean? Like it's just, that's what it is. That's another example. And let's keep going. Okay. What can truly help is temperance. Like the temperance card, balancing both cups, mindfulness, in order to get back to how you effectively utilize all of the abundance coming through. More examples, yeah. So the fridge thing, lack of time management. So we're going back to Mars and we're going back to this energy. But Virgo representing, so we're going to go into depth about the whole Virgo energy, and just because for the sake of like tying back to what do you call it, like the Qua 55, just for you to see how resonant this sign alone is in connection to this, and that this is the message of all, like this is the very message for the season. Because here it's like, if you think about it, Virgo represents, of course, purity through clarity, discernment, and integrity of spirit. Integrity. Purity through clarity, discernment, and integrity of spirit. When it comes to fulfilling yourself while maintaining integrity by taking action. Oh my gosh, all these burps are coming through. Maybe it's a confirmation. What that means by having the integrity of spirit when it comes to being pure from a Virgo perspective, when it comes to fulfilling yourself, what does that mean? Okay, hold on. Wait, hold on. Okay. Oh my gosh, you see my gray hair. Okay, but anyways. And my chicken wants to join in. Welcome. Chicken? Yes, chicken? Now. While maintaining integrity by taking action with awareness of the impermanence of these opportunities, these sources and resources, a sovereign creator of reality, and serving from a place of inner wholeness. So then you experience the outer wholeness, but in a way that when you learn from the responsibility of serving from a place of inner wholeness, serving from a place of outer wholeness, connecting to that responsibility from the inner to the outer, it's just going to make this experience much more full, whole, even if it wanes and waxes, this energy. Sovereign leader, sorry, I was going to say leader. Okay. Healer, sacred service, and conscious intentional purpose to shape reality, uplift others through the law overall, all that is. Specific, I was going to say significant, but it's significantly specific aspect of what being sovereign is. Being whole, okay? Being whole, self-defining yourself, self-concept, and align inwardly, being at center, okay? The discipline of assumption is the key of this season, and the self-creator. Now, and these are the patterns I've gotten from this whole reading. I didn't really write all of it entirely, but I feel like this is, personally, I feel like this is the most connected, because I don't think you ever lose opportunities to experience what you've always wanted to experience. Because if you want to choose to assume that, then that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. But if you don't choose that, that's also what you're going to get. So, cycles, phases, light, dark, high, low, start, end, full, empty. Main key terms: illumination, fullness, peak, prosperity, abundance, and impermanence. Now, I'm going to play one more thing here. I'm going to insert it in the video, actually, because I'm using my iPhone to do the reading on here, okay? I'm going to re-listen to it again, because this was a download that I've gotten a couple of days back. I will show it on the date that when it was recorded, but long story short, I had this download that came through, especially when I asked the absolute, like, you know, lead me to, like, whatever message that you felt like you want to apply in my heart that you need me to express for the sake of, like, this reading, do it. And I had this, like, message that came up all of a sudden, and I'm like, where did this come from? And now I honestly, I haven't even checked back at it, but if it does resonate, I'm going to keep it in that video. And we're you know, if you want, listen to it. I will bookmark this part for you to listen to it whenever you want to go back. And really making sure the bookmarks are on point. So then afterwards you can go back to whatever part of the reading you want to go back to. Okay? But I will close off this reading like this. And I just want to say, first off, happy Virgo season. Happy Virgo season. Giving all my flowers to every Virgo. Even, you know, and let me just say this, you know, because I have to learn this in the way that, unfortunately, with the increased awareness, maybe could have been different. But I want anybody to know that if you're manifesting whatever you want to manifest in your life, but you're scared it's going to go away, or that you don't think that it's worth the manifestation because it's you're going to lose it or whatsoever, then that's the state that you're going to choose and that you're choosing. Sorry. So sorry. Because even if it's like you releasing one good song and whatsoever, and it wanes, doesn't mean that the energy won't come back up. That's honestly always up to you. Like, anything can wax and almost anything can wax and wane. It just, at the end of the day, it all comes down to your approach to that. Oh, is that Kusama? Is one of my BBs at the door? Okay. I guess that's a signal from one of my cats that I am going to be heading out. So I want you to take all of this in, and if you need to come back in case of anything, just let your girl, go back to this video and really connect the dots from there and see for yourself, see what resonates now, what resonates like days after, in the middle of the season, because I'm telling you, this is such a specific message that not only that I have, as you could see from the beginning of the video, you saw the receipts. I didn't just pull a bibliomancy with the I Ching book, okay? I did not use the coin method either. I used the Yarrow stocks, okay? And that usually gives, honestly, the most specific answer out of all the other methods. Look, I love bibliomancy too, but working with the I Ching, that's why I don't work with the I Ching with as tarot cards or as cards to pull out. I don't work with the I Ching as like a bibliomancy technique, because the heart of the I Ching is the energy and the intention and the motion and the feeling. You intertwine with it as you work with the absolute and with awareness, with how, and allowing yourself to come from a place of doing this out of pure connection, out of pure deep intention. And that's what I got. And to the point where, like, days later, I've seen other readers like talk about the season, and it is literally almost the exact message that I ended up pulling the answer for. I just haven't done this reading yet until like the 25th of August or something. So maybe that could be significant. I don't know. But anyways, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful season. Come back if you need to, and I will drop the clip, especially if this resonates, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bet that it will. Because I'm already like so stunned by how accurate and how potent this message is, that to the point where it's already over 2 hours and 40 minutes. But this is a 2 hours and 40 minutes that's meant to be gone through. Unless you want to like speed it up, then that's a different story. And like I mentioned with the other two readings, see, there's Peppers, speeding it up, it's just as fine. I'm a speed me up girl as well. If you need to, you go for it, right? As long as the message is clear, as long as you can make time for it as well. Because the I Ching is really all about taking time with it and being patient with not just the answer, but being patient with understanding it on any level that resonates with you and that resonates with your question. So I hope, in terms of my question, that this helps answer everything for the season. Anyways, I'm gonna insert the clip, and I will get off. Have yourselves a wonderful Virgo season, and shout out to the Virgos out there. Thank you for, like, it doesn't even matter who you are. Thank you for teaching us what we not only are meant to know, but what is required of us to know, especially when it comes to our day-to-day lives, how we take care of ourselves, not just how we take care of our pets, how we take care of environments, how we, uplift the energy consistently the way you do. And I really am so grateful. I know that even if there are, and I would speak about this because I know, like, people, and I get it with the whole Huda situation of Love Island, okay? I get that people are, and why they're being very negative about, like, why there's a negative response about her, okay? And I think, like, we can't deny that fact. However, I still think that Virgos, ironic enough, have the capability to understand if they choose to. And there's some things that Huda chooses to understand. Let's say about Palestine, because she's part Palestinian. Like, at least there is that awareness of choosing to accept the truth about that area of her life that she is, even on a DNA level, connected to. Of course, there's some more things that she has to expand her awareness of, but I find that her intentions of being aware, just like any other Virgo's intentions of being aware, is not coming, especially those that are very defensive, it's not coming from a place of, like, no reason, honestly, almost most of the time. It's really, there is a genuine reason. Like, look, do I entirely see Huda's story, especially with the way her baby daddy actually takes care of her kid and how much he actually is involved in her life? Yeah, maybe she did. Maybe there is a very huge misunderstanding between the audience and Huda when it comes to her baby daddy, and saying how she felt like she's abandoned, all that stuff. But I see that this guy is in the military. I may not know the entire story, but your feed, just like what you put out, is all from your subconscious mind at the end of the day. His page is full of, like, his daughter and her daughter too, but none of Huda, because of course they didn't work out. But whatever complex situation is, whatever the reason is that she's on that island at that age, with her brain still developing in her head, because I think she's 24 or something, she's not even 25 yet. And even if she is 25, she is starting the maturity of her mind. And when you start from a place where you haven't gone to therapy, you did not live with the best family of all families, even if your relationship is blessed, your mindset has corrupted your thinking process, how you connect with people emotionally whatsoever, so much that it gets to the point where, you know what I'm saying. Like, any Virgos that you feel a type of way about, even about Huda, like, have some compassion. Have some understanding. Because what we're not going to do is be extremist in this season. What we're not going to do is be a total hater and a total supporter, or total this or total that. Like, that's why discernment is very heavily aligned with Virgo season. That's why discernment is a part of what being the sign really is and what it embodies. I know there's like attention and details and analysis of what, of course. Of course. Of course. But that aspect alone, I think we need to understand. And just like, you know, Aquarius is just like Gemini's, just like the Leos even sometimes. Or the Sagittarius, where people call them Sagittarists, okay? People really hold really negative things about certain signs, which I get it, I kind of understand, but like, when it's like, you know, when you choose to be so completely against it that you're not giving a chance to open your mind about somebody's experience with that sign, whether it's in their sun sign or whether it's in their rising or whatsoever, it could even be in your charts, and you're rejecting that part of you. You're rejecting that part of a person that's reflected back to you. Okay? So keep that in mind. I love my Virgos a lot because they only have stirred me to the right path. And that genuinely, I mean that from my heart. I don't mean that out of spite. I don't mean that out of like just saying it because I'm saying it. Because it's the season and this reading is for the season. That's not it. My Chiron is in Virgo, okay? Before I go, my Chiron's in Virgo. And I'm going to be mindful of the time. I'm going to cry. And it's in my second house too. Keep that in mind. And the one thing I can really appreciate about them, no matter what state they're in, and that I was in, they have enough of the grace to point out a lot of things to me that I'm so thankful I'm aware of now. But it kind of sucks because of the kindness in their own hearts. At times when they can't take the opportunity to be entirely honest with you because they don't want to make it worse, but they don't want to hurt you, or they don't want to, you know. But obviously when they're seeing a really shitty part of you, and while you're going through the worst, or while they're going through the worst, like, it just sucks and it breaks my heart with like how easy it is for them to silence themselves. I don't know why I'm crying like that right now, but I would say that from a personal example. And it's not just one source, it's many sources. And honestly, if anything, treat this season with a lot of consideration. Okay? I love every single one of you, and I hope you have a wonderful season again. I know I keep saying that again, but when a download comes through, it comes through, and I'm not going to stop that. Ever. Even if it means it extends my time over. Okay, chicken, do you really want my attention? You really want me to stop? He wants me to stop. Alright, that's my signal. Alright, enjoy the recording if it's there, and I will see you in the next one.